Yes, people, happy Monday on this apparent Blue Monday. Don't let that get to you. Alright, got some transfer news coming up. Don't let the Bruno disappointment get you either. Bruno was in tears yesterday. Apparently, he left the stadium in a bit better mood. But anyways, I hope everyone's having a good start to their week, and we're going to dive into today's transfer talk video. And obviously, it does surround the impact on the transfer market from Bruno Guimarães' injury. Now, Eddie Howe has been coy all window, all January in these press conferences, saying things will happen later on, especially if the squad get hit by injuries and things happen, things force his hand. Well, now the hand's been forced. Now the hand has ultimately been forced. Newcastle United have no choice but to step up their pursuit of signing a new midfielder in this January transfer window, because, it was very like that we were going to do that. We've been keeping eyes on Yuri Tielemans. A few of the names have been linked. Will we go in for Madison still? There's been a lot of talk. Shelby got his injury, so that's ruled him out. As it stands, Newcastle only have 3 fit centre midfielders, and that is including Joelinton, who has obviously been playing as that left forward for quite some time now under Eddie Howe this season. Now that Maximin's back, Maximin's back from injury, he could obviously go further forward on the left, like he did after the half-time break against Fulham on the weekend. Maxi went into the left wing, Joelinton dropped back into the 3, and obviously we finished the game with 4-2-3-1 formation, with Isak playing as like number 10 behind Callum Wilson. So that's something we can adopt and change and use while we have got the injury to Bruno and other centre midfielders. But where's the longevity in that? Will it work long term? I mean, I think it would, but the problem is, now we've only got 3 centre midfielders, and that's including Joelinton. So you're talking Joelinton, Joe Willock, and Sean Longstaff. Imagine if one of those gets injured or suspended, and then we're down to 2 or 1, fit centre mids. It's just not possible. We have got to go out and sign a new midfielder this January. There's only obviously a couple of weeks left of the window, plenty of time. I've just said only there, but there's plenty of time. We all know deadline day, something could happen there, even in the remaining 24 hours of the window. But Newcastle have just over 2 weeks to sort out their midfield issues, and especially with the Carabao Cup semi-final taking place next week is the first leg. 2 weeks' time is the second leg. We need reinforcements through the door as soon as possible. That's what a lot of people were saying on my replies on Instagram at the Magpie channel. If you don't follow it already, sort it out and go and follow it. The link is in the description. But a lot of people were saying there, look, we need these midfielders in. We need midfielders in before the semi-finals. I mean, the main thing is obviously because, again, like I've said, injuries and suspensions. We need numbers through the door now. If we're playing, a Tuesday semi-final against Southampton, and we're playing in the league on the weekend, and then after that, thankfully, in a way, all part of the master plan from Eddie Howe getting knocked out of the FA Cup, wasn't it? Because by doing that, we have a break before the Southampton game in the FA Cup, and we're going to need that. So even if it had been a replay, we would be playing tomorrow night or Wednesday night if we'd scraped back a draw against Sheffield Wednesday when we were 2-0 down at Hillsborough. That didn't happen. We're out the FA Cup. Carabao Cup semi-final coming. But anyways, let's get back to the point at hand. Bruno Guimarães injury. Let's touch on that first before we talk about the 3 big names that have been linked with Newcastle United in the last couple of weeks of the window. So, Bruno Guimarães, as we know, twisted his ankle against Fulham on Sunday. Yesterday, he came off injured at half-time. He was wincing for a good 5-10 minutes before that. He should have been brought off earlier, to be honest, and even Eddie Howe admitted himself that he wished he had took him off a bit earlier. Bruno left St James's Park with his space boot on, his protective boot there, and that was for protective measures, so worst case scenario, that's why he was wearing it. That injury, however, isn't as bad as first feared. According to the Chronicle today, they're reporting that it's not as bad news, but they haven't put a time scale on it, but surely he's going to be out for a few weeks at least. I mean, when that first happens, you're thinking, oh, no way, he's going to be out for a couple of months. Yeah, easy. Now it's looking like surely a couple of weeks minimum. Minimum a couple of weeks, you would have thought. We'll wait and see where the club come out of it, probably latter stages of this week, a couple of days' time. Once Bruno's been tested, had a scan done, had some training ground work done, been in the gym and stuff, seen the physios, then we'll know exactly how long he's been out for, but it's long enough. It was already long enough. We already needed a midfielder through the door before Bruno's injury, so it's just highlighted the fact now and pushed us on that we need to sign a midfielder. Heavily linked to be that midfielder in the last couple of days has been Wolverhampton Wanderers' Ruben Neves. Now, Neves, Premier League proven. I don't get how some people were kind of turning. Some people were saying, a bit amazing, saying and brilliant, saying, okay. Some people were turning their nose up at Ruben Neves. I couldn't get my head around that. I really couldn't. Premier League proven, domestic pedigree. He's been doing it for Wolves for years. He's a class player. I'm a huge fan of Neves. I think it'll be a terrific signing. Look, he plays in that number 6. He can sit deep, exactly what Eddie Howe wants. But he's not just a scruffy midfielder. He's not just going to do that dirty work. He is going to push us forward as well. He is good technically. He can score a goal. He scored a few goals for Wolves. They've all been screamers. He loves the long-range screamer, so he's got that in his locker. We look at Ruben Neves has scored some brilliant goals at Wolves. He's a Portuguese international. He knows what he's doing. He was in the World Cup squad. He's played in some big games. He's only 25, I think, 25, 26. I think he's 25, if I remember correctly. So he's got his best years ahead of him. And he's already shown, like I said, more than capable of playing week in, week out in this Premier League. He's been a star for Wolves. He's the captain of Wolves. He knows now that he probably wants a fresh change. The Wolves are hitting the ceiling, the chop and change the manager, how far they're going to go. He'd obviously prefer to join Newcastle's big project, I would have thought. Even though, big teams have been linked with Ruben Neves in recent times. Arsenal, Barcelona have been linked with Ruben Neves. So, he's going to have a lot of competition. He's got 18 months left on his current deal. So only 18 months left for Neves at Wolves. And he'll definitely move in that time. I think Wolves will sell him. I think if you went in with a good offer, you could get Neves this January, if not definitely next summer. But we need him now. We need a midfielder right now. And Ruben Neves, I think he's a great all-round player. I do, like I said, he's good going forward, but he'll do what we want him to do in terms of breaking up play, getting stuck in, providing energy around the park with a bit of technical ability squeezed in there as well. And like I say, you're not taking a risk. You're not signing someone from abroad. He's coming in. He's slotting in and he's starting and he's putting in a shift and he's performing. He does it every single week for Wolves. So I think Ruben Neves will be a great shout, a great signing. Now it all depends on how much Wolves want, really. That's what was kind of left out of these articles. Would a 25 million, 30 million, would that do it with 80 months left on his contract? I'm not sure, but I would pay the money for him. I would pay the money for Ruben Neves. I would love to see him at Newcastle. I think it would be a brilliant signing. So I'd be a big fan of bringing Ruben Neves to the Toon. Now let's rattle through the last couple of names that have been linked as a midfielder for Newcastle United this January. Just in the last couple of days as well, we'll go in depth on these players, maybe in some more transfer talk videos if the rumours kick up a little bit more. But one of them is obviously Savić as well. Savić, he's going to demand a big fee as well, mate. He will be after a big fee. Apparently £53 million is what Newcastle are willing to blow Arsenal out of the water to sign Savić, the midfielder, as well. Now, this would be an incredible signing. Now, I'm not sure if Newcastle will go out and... Well, actually, I backed it. I think we would spend that much money this January on a midfielder. But just the way things are playing out at the minute, I don't know. But, if the opportunity's there, like it was for Isaacs, if the opportunity's there to get Milinković-Savić in, then you might snap the hands off because he is, an elite player. He's right up there. He's highly sought after across Europe. A lot of teams are eyeing up Savić. They fancy him. He's been performing week in, week out. He's an international as well. He's a complete all-round midfielder. I mean, he's better than Neves, you would think. But again, untested in the Premier League, but he seems to be more of a complete midfielder. He can get forward more. He would be more of a threat, but it depends on exactly what you want. Now, Eddie Howe does want that number 6 to allow Bruno Guimarães to get more forward. But Savić can do that. Savić looks like he can do a lot of things. He seems to be a really talented footballer. Every European club seems to be linked with him, so what a signing that would be. What a coup that would be if the two could get him through the door. Now, a player that doesn't offer quite as much in terms of all-round capabilities in midfielder, and especially going forward, but hits the nail on the head for that number 6 role that Eddie Howe wants, to bring in energy to the middle of the park, to break up play, to disrupt things, to just sit there, do all the dirty work, is Caicedo. Caicedo of Brighton, who they snapped up for a small fee, is up for sale. Brighton will happily sell their best players. They've done it with Basuma. They did it with Cucurella. They seem to replace them, just like they did with Potter, bringing in De Zerbi. He's still doing a great job. So Brighton have got no issues in cashing in on Caicedo. Liverpool, massively linked with them. They want the Liverpool are chasing Caicedo, but they seem to have money problems of their own. So, Klopp at least lets you believe that. So, Caicedo linked with Liverpool. They see him as a big replacement for the likes of Jordan Henderson, who can be in Liverpool's midfield for years. Will Newcastle now swoosh in, though? You see teams swoosh in. Mudryk was meant to be going to Arsenal. Chelsea swooshed in. Caicedo meant to be going to Liverpool. Could Newcastle swoosh in? Yes is the answer, but Brighton and Hove Albion apparently want north of £60 million for Caicedo. So that's a lot of money for someone who, yes, has been Premier League proven, yes, is doing it, but he hasn't been here long. But he is that ideal player. And those type of CDMs are pricey and are hard to find. That kind of all-rounded, hard-working, defensive, gritty player. Because those players go underrated in games because they're not grabbing the headlines of scoring goals, or they're not grabbing the headlines of assisting goals, but they are stopping the opposition so many times from scoring goals. They're just as important. And Eddie Howe sees that as a weakness in Newcastle's midfield. Now, Sean Longstaff was brilliant against Fulham. He's our kind of role that does that at the minute, covers every blade of grass. But if you want to progress, you want to go up, Eddie Howe is in the market for that number 6, someone a bit better. So when everyone's fit, if you could have a Joe Linton, Caicedo and Bruno further forward, getting the best out of Guimaraes, that would be perfect. So there's 3 names that are heavily linked to be Newcastle's new midfielder this January. Savić, Caicedo and Ruben Neves. Probably be someone completely out of the blue that hasn't been linked. But we'll wait and see. Those are the latest rumours and names linked with Newcastle United. We do need a midfielder. We need one in ASAP. Bruno is out. Big games coming up. Semi-final. Still pushing top 4. Got to sign a midfielder this January now. I think Newcastle will. And let's hope if it's one of those 3 that I've listed there, unreal signing. Any one of them. Any one of them. Let me know in the comments below which player you would prefer out of the ones I've linked in this video. Anyone else who I've missed out? Anyone else that Newcastle should be eyeing up in that midfield position? Subscribe to the Magpie Channel TV, and I'll see you on the next one.